Hey guys, Brannon with Nolatech here for TFBTV, here with Matt from 1110. We're going to talk about some new medical things they got going on, predominantly geared, at least right now, what we got right here, towards patrol. So Matt, kind of just run us through. I know there's some new styles of old things and obviously some brand new products, so kind of give us a rundown.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Rigid TQ case is our flagship product, and this is meant to be a delivery system to get a CAT or a soft T tourniquet onto the patrolman, accessible as quick as a mag change. So obviously, if you're familiar with our product, we have the belt-mounted version and the MOLLE version malice to get it on some overt MOLLE-style web gear for our SWAT and SRT, or overt carry vests, or also the belt for the duty belt. So we've evolved the product to kind of listen to the customer, and some of the things we were hearing is their shirt gets rubbed a little raw with that Velcro backing on the CAT tourniquet.
You only get so many times to go back to supply and get a new shirt.
Exactly. So, we want to extend the life of the uniform as best we can, but we don't want to discourage the officer from saying, well, if I'm going to ruin my uniform, I'm just going to keep the tourniquet in the car in my pant leg pocket where I can forget it or not have it when I need it.
Or something that makes it slower to get to the tourniquet.
Exactly. So with this open mouth design, we kind of did a tall sweat guard as you would on a pistol holster, and we made the shirt shield. So it prolongs the life of your uniform without inhibiting the deployability or accessibility of your tourniquet.
Now, is that a component that comes standard with it now, or is that like an accessory add-on component?
It's an add-on. So if you have our most current legacy, or our most current version of the CAT tourniquet carrier, about $9, you can do an add-on and retrofit your one you already purchased and might have had for a year or two.
And I see you got it in the old school shiny leather and basket weave, and of course all your various tactical colors.
Exactly. So we have the standard subdued offerings. We got Ranger Green, Coyote, Black. Now we have multicam dip, and to accommodate a wider array of uniform offerings for state troopers and sheriff's departments, we have the basket weave texture, and then we also have the high gloss.
Well, I can tell you, as an officer myself, that it sounds silly. It sounds absolutely silly that an officer wouldn't be allowed to carry a piece of life-saving equipment because the holder did not match their uniform. But that is unfortunately a real issue. It's not an aesthetic thing from our perspective, but you almost have to play the aesthetic game to get the tool.
No, absolutely. And if making it appeasable to your uniform is something we can do on our end to just eliminate that as an excuse to not have life-saving equipment on you, we'll do the grunt work for you. There's no reason you should have to fight through that issue. So.
And then you guys have a line of actual kits now.
We sure do. So the square kit on a visor mount is something that's become really popular with law enforcement that wants to carry the backup supplies, including a backup tourniquet, up in the cruiser. So this can get it up on the map case of the door, the visor on the passenger side or driver's side, and then you can actually put it on that cage next to your carbine or your shotgun, and you can have it in a quick and rip, grab and go, easy pull fashion. And then it has all the rest of the components you would need in sort of an individual's first aid kit: hemostatic gauze, pressure bandage, chest seals, medical tape, your gloves, and trauma shears in a bag.
Now, are they coming filled with those components, or does it you buy the pouch empty and there's an option to add the component?
We actually have 3 options. So you can buy a full turnkey kit if you're not versed in the medical realm and you want it's already done for me. I just have to check the credibility, make sure it's in my budget, go ahead and buy it. So we have a couple different options there. We have the pouch only. If you already have medical equipment, you just need a way to containerize it and carry it with you. And we also have our version of Build-A-Bear, which is the Build-A-Kit option. So if guys love to spend time online building out their equipment, kind of like Dodge Rams, how I would do, click and add all my accessories afterwards, we figured out what common tactical medical components would fit in here and what capacity, what quantity, and you can point and click your way and design your own med kit, and we figure out what constraints based on the kit style you want, and you can do your build.
Yeah, and some guys are just familiar, like they may be familiar with an H&H stretching or Elias bandage just from either prior military or prior training or just marketing. There's just maybe something they have a certain loyalty or experience with.
Absolutely.
And to be able, like you said, kind of build a bear, build a med kit, or work. Another thing I noticed here with the visor, also, in patrol, pretty much all your belt real estate is typically taken, except for some of our officers in South Louisiana, but they got a little extra real estate, and not like I can really talk. But the cool thing too is I can literally jump out and just hook this in a pocket. So if I'm going to an active shooter situation, or I have a mass casualty event, I can grab that as additional supplies and just throw it literally on a pocket.
Absolutely, and that's one of those features that in an emergency situation, if you have to dismount and leave your bunker, your cruiser, you can clip it on and go. But if you don't want to have it on you every day as part of your uniform, if you're not on a SWAT operation wearing TAC gear where the risk is higher, but you're going to need this as part of your everyday response, just grab, clip it, and go.
I'm assuming this is more of a duty full, patrol.
It is. We have had some adopters in law enforcement that want the full kit on them, and having a military background, I'm just used to having the full med kit. It's a tourniquet and everything. We know that's not really realistic for everyday wear for the average patrolman, but some that have a higher risk duty within the police department, or they dedicate the real estate because maybe they've learned and become educated.
They prioritize.
Exactly. They elevate the priority on the medical equipment. So we try to come up with a solution that, you know, takes as much depth as a double cuff case really, plus a little bit more real estate because it's squared. You can run this molly on web gear, or you can do a belt pass-through and run it on your duty belt. So it has everything else that's been in here. Some of these components are a bit more exclusive to be trimmed down, slimlined, and reduced, but we've done a lot of thought behind how can we make this accessible to the patrolman on his person.
And I'm assuming that buying option is kind of the same setup as this, and that you have the options of turnkey, just a pouch, or kind of a more customized.
A little bit less options because we get tighter specs with this, so you reduce the amount of options you have. But you can carry combat gauze or plain old gauze, just regular sterile gauze. That's been shrunk down, kind of like that H&H or North American Rescue. But we have this as a stocked option or pouch only as well. Yep.
All right, so now jumping over a little bit more to the tactical officer or more overt carry. Tell us a little bit about this setup rig, its intents and purposes, and what the scoop is with this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So kind of like the military echelons of care, we talked about the first echelon, which is getting that self-aid buddy equipment on the patrol officer. So what can he do for himself before advanced care can get there? If it's a hot zone, active threat, SWAT and their medics are not there yet. They've got to be able to influence their own out.
Put your oxygen mask on before you attempt to help anyone else.
Exactly. Gas. So once we get past that first echelon, the next line is for specifically tactical EMS or SWAT team medics. So we want to keep all the essentials on their person first line without having to do the aid bag dump. You don't want to be that guy that holds up the element when we need to be threat focused. So if I can do all my work out of my workspace without opening the aid bag, more the better. So this is just an enhanced version of the same equipment for self-aid buddy aid, just in more of an abundance for that tactical medic to be able to use.
And I also like how y'all got it set up that it's very bilateral, and that right hand, left hand, whatever, you have equal access on both sides.
Yep.
And basically that's two patients there, plus you have your self-aid, so if you had to, that's three patients already right there, immediately accessible.
Exactly, and depending on what it is, it could be one really, really bad dude. But I have everything I need right there to at least get off the X. So it's none of the waste, none of the bells and whistles. It's the down and dirty, milk, eggs, flour. What do we need? Hemorrhage control, chest wound management, very basic airway, get off the X.
And then on the back side, that's where we start getting into more of a MASH casualty or a more advanced level of care.
Yep, absolutely. So this is the Thames entry aid bag. So this is everything has been cut out and streamlined, kind of those military style stomp aid bags. You have to be able to equip and treat a squad or a platoon for days on end without a resupply. But a SWAT team medic needs something for the duration of that operation, and just critical point of wounding care stuff, just maybe a little more to treat more, or a really bad dude if you can't exfil right away. So we eliminated all the waste. How do we, figure out how do we integrate it into body armor, things of that nature, and keep it nice and streamlined. So if you look at the profile of this guy, it doesn't come away from his back that much, causing that huge footprint that can get jammed up in a threshold when you're making entry.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty tight in there. I mean, you can sit in a vehicle with that on.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything's nice and modular, nice and organized, because medics like things the way they like them. So everything is hook and pile on the back, drag and drop for modularity, and everything's nice and organized so you can see it very quick, not a lot of thinking. This is my bleeding, this is my airway, this is my chest, grab here. And it's really cool because you can have guys assist you that aren't, medic smart.
Yeah, grab me the one that says bleeding.
Exactly. And then if you have an advanced level certification or advanced skill sets, you can have advanced emergency airways if you need it in a very, very streamlined fashion. So that's the whole premise behind it. Keep it nice, thin, lightweight, and easily maneuverable.
So it's basically a chest rig, function built for a medic.
Exactly. And the last feature that I wanted to tell you is this integrates into body armor with quick release straps. So most common body armor styles, I can quickly connect it into the shoulders, and I can actually roll this over. If I let the slack out, I can push it over my helmet, and I can have it slung forward. Like if I'm on a barricade or a long call out, I don't have to fatigue my back, my lumbar by sitting on this thing leaning forward. I can keep it on my lap, already connected, and when I go to dismount my vehicle, if they're going to make entry, I can put it right behind, and there's an integrated Velcro catch panel.
So it's also, and if you got to move, it's not jumping on you. And
So there you have it. That's our Thames line.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.